Putin bad news. Putin's future is not safe despite the death of Prigozhin. The made-up, yet all too real that revenge is a dish best served cold, as Don Corleone once said, is sound advice. While a hot dish can be delicious, a hot revenge is usually poorly executed. Revenge in the cold requires forethought. The betrayal requires appeasement and reassuring the traitor that the threat is over. Prigozhin was labeled a traitor by Putin the day after, but the next day, Putin gave him a soft landing in Belarus, invited him to the Russia-Africa summit, punished some of his supporters, and marginalized others. Not only did Prigozhin kick back and relax, but he also made some noise by traveling to Africa to fortify his holdings and by having the ultras in his Wagner private military company make some noise of their own. One fact was largely overlooked in the media frenzy that followed the crash of his private plane on August 23. Dmitry Utkin, the charismatic lieutenant colonel of the GRU Special Forces and the actual creator and operational commander of CHVK Wagner, was also killed. Wagner's head is severed as a direct consequence. This has been a perfectly normal, skillfully carried out operation. Who would have the will, the resources, or the nerve to carry out such a mission without direct orders from on high? Certainly not Air Force Chief of Staff General Gerasimov, nor the groveling CGS. It is the prerogative of the president to have a traitor put to death, especially if the traitor has publicly shamed the president. Then why is Moscow being so evasive? For the simple reason that murder without due process of law is odious. Common Russians gave up their political and civil liberties to the government a long time ago. But they, too, have their own standards. The president's admission that he was responsible for the deaths of not only Prigozhin and Utkin, but also of innocents, the flight and cabin crew, possibly others, may bring to mind other dastardly acts committed by the state, such as the apartment building bombings in 1999 that provided then Prime Minister Putin with the pretext to relaunch the Chechen War and secure his bid for presidential power. Then there is the West, with its insistence on conclusive evidence, and its inability to let go of its doubt. Inundate its news outlets with denials, open questions, and viable alternatives, and the resulting confusion will force readers to reconsider their assumptions. Disorienting the opponent is not just a military principle but a way of life in Russia. Russia is not wasting its time interfering with the elections of the West. Rather, it is messing with its mind. Vymyvates VIMO, as Putin's so-called Grey Cardinal, Vladislav Surkov put it in 2019. Others, such as Russia's ruling elite and ultra-nationalists, use a different language altogether. They can decipher the fine print and ask the essential question, Komu to vodno? Which party gains? Their interpretation of the messages is unmistakable. We did it, we are the only ones who could have done it, and you'd better watch your back. The state's lack of scrupulousness in covering up its guilt should not be overlooked. The first step in any investigation should be to secure the crash site, but footage obtained through OSINT shows that debris is already being hastily removed. Furthermore, only state officials or figures closely aligned with the state came forward to deflect blame away from Putin in Russia. Putin, on the other hand, has not acted in a way that betrays his intention to shift responsibility elsewhere. His creepy, almost giddy praise of military heroes who show loyalty to the military oath the night of the crash was spot on. It looks like Putin has won this round. To what extent, though? Just 2 months before he died, Prigozhin led a march on Moscow that revealed widespread dissatisfaction with the war and the state. Those who were bitter then will remain bitter now. The lesson is clear. Defying Putin means risking everything. That makes things more precarious for everyone involved, Putin included. The GRU, the military's intelligence agency, developed Wagner. Some of Prigozhin's more visible backers may have been demoted or fired, but there are still plenty of dissenters in and out of the special forces and intelligence agencies who are indispensable in times of war. To assume that all of these people lack nerve, networks, and allies is to be complacent. Putin has always been one to play for high stakes, and that hasn't changed since the war began on February 24, 2022. The war and the poor decisions that led to it have cost Russia everything it cared about, including its relationship with Germany, its position as Europe's energy leader, its standing within NATO, and its ability to maintain stable finances at home. Wagner's supporters, however, are aware that the war is not yet won. The outcome of this game is not positive.